That mismatch you notice every year is real. September. The name itself means seventh month, yet it sits as the ninth. October means eighth, yet falls as 10th. November and December carry the same fossil lie. This is no accident. Ancient systems followed a cleaner rhythm. 13 months of exactly 28 days each. 364 days plus one neutral year day. Perfect alignment with the moon's cycle and the human body. Bone artifacts 20,000 years old already track it. Civilizations from Africa to the Americas observed it independently. Then power stepped in. The 13th month was deleted. The world switched to 12 awkward, unequal months. And nobody talks about why. The older lunar rhythm tied to natural cycles faded under imperial administration. Women across cultures had tracked 28-day patterns for fertility and ritual. The Ishango bone from 20,000 years ago already groups notches and patterns suggesting lunar months near 28 days. Similar markings appear in Paleolithic Europe. By the Roman Republic, the calendar year of 355 days required frequent insertions of a 13th month called Mercedonius. Priests decided when and how long to add it. They stretched or shortened years to favor allies or punish enemies. Julius Caesar ended the manipulation in 46 BC. He created the year of confusion by adding 90 extra days to realign the seasons. The new Julian calendar set 365 days, with leap years every 4 years. The 13th month disappeared from official use. The mismatched month names remained as quiet evidence. Centuries later, the Julian calendar drifted again. By the 16th century, the vernal equinox had shifted 10 days. Pope Gregory XIII acted in 1582. 10 days were deleted in October. The 4th was followed directly by the 15th. Catholic countries adopted it once. Protestant regions resisted. Britain waited until 1752 and dropped 11 days. Riots broke out with cries to give us back our 11 days. I sat with this timeline for days. The facts sit in Roman histories and papal bulls. Bone artifacts rest in museums. The month name mismatches become obvious once noticed. If the change was only for solar accuracy, why keep the old numbering? The timeline refuses to stay innocent. Independent ancient systems already used near 13 rhythms without chaos. The deletion was not inevitable. It was chosen. Power had claimed time itself. The Gregorian adjustment fixed the drift but locked the 12-month frame in place. No serious attempt brought back the 13th. By the 19th century, industrial society felt the pain of irregular months. Business accounts swung wildly in length. Forecasting became unreliable. In 1902, a British-Canadian accountant named Moses Bruin Cotsworth proposed the International Fixed Calendar. 13 months of exactly 28 days. For perfect weeks each. One extra year day at the end belonging to no week. He named the new month Sol and placed it between June and July. Cotsworth found support among exhausted business leaders. Transportation and logistics especially wanted the change. George Eastman, founder of Eastman Kodak, became its strongest champion. He installed the 13-month calendar at Kodak in 1928. The company ran it internally until 1989. Payroll simplified. Every month held the same number of workdays. Scheduling turned predictable. Eastman promoted it aggressively and addressed the League of Nations. In the 1920s, the League examined over 130 calendar reform proposals. The Cotsworth Plan reached the final stage. The International Fixed Calendar League formed in 1923. U.S. congressional hearings took place. A federal advisory committee recommended support, yet national adoption failed. Religious objections rose quickly. The extra year day broke the continuous 7-day week central to Sabbath observance. Some called it tampering with divine order. Others feared widespread social disruption from shifting established dates. Despite clear business gains, governments hesitated. Kodak's long success proved the system worked. Records stayed clean for over 60 years. Still, the wider world kept 12 uneven months. The League of Nations never mandated change. The proposal quietly faded. I need to be honest about something. I sat with this research for days. The facts are well documented. Roman records, papal bulls, League papers, and Kodak archives all confirm the pattern. The problem was not lack of evidence. The problem was how the accumulation would sound. Reasonable people would call it coincidence or simple evolution. But the timeline refuses to stay innocent. If this were mere practical improvement, the superior metrics should have won. Kodak demonstrated the practicality for 6 decades. The deletion of the 13th month centuries earlier had already set the stage. Modern revival came close then stalled. Natural rhythm observed for 20,000 years gave way to imposed order. 80 years after the older motifs faded, the story echoes. In our time, the 13-month idea surfaces in niche business tools or wellness calendars. Yet the dominant system remains 12 awkward months. I sat with the full timeline for days. Not because the facts were hard to find. They are well documented. Roman records, Gregorian bulls, league documents, Kodak archives, all exist in plain sight. The problem was not evidence. The problem was hearing how the pattern would sound. Reasonable voices calling it coincidence or natural evolution. I kept asking myself whether ancient bones and independent cultures were just primitive attempts. Whether Roman tweaks and Papal Day deletions were only accuracy fixes. Whether the near adoption in the 1930s was simply impractical. But then the accumulation settles. The Ishango bone notches from 20,000 years ago. Global lunar traditions. Roman intercalary manipulation. 10 or 11 days vanished overnight in different centuries. A rational 13-month plan succeeding at one major corporation for 6 decades. Each layer uses the same language. Time is observed from nature versus time is grown, managed, and distributed by authority. Not aligned with moon and body, but delivered through centralized decree. The modern establishment during the Kodak era makes the picture darker still. Religious institutions resisted the unbroken week. Governments cited tradition and transition costs. Efficiency gains were acknowledged yet not pursued globally. The calendar we live by still carries the fossil names of a deleted 13th month. September as 7th. The mismatch remains carved into language itself. What the 12-month irregularity enables is subtle. Uneven lengths complicate, but also allow flexible fiscal quarters, debt cycles, and scheduled resets. Natural 28-day blocks would expose different patterns in economics and labor. The imposed order has lasted. The older rhythm was observed, not dictated. Every civilization needs a story for how it measures days. You do not tell people their time was once more aligned with body and moon than deliberately irregularized for administration. You call the 12-month version standard and inevitable. The deletion does the work of erasure. It always has. The original elegant system is preserved in fragments. Bone artifacts in museums. Kodak records in company archives. Mismatched month names spoken daily. Each carries the quiet mark of an older origin. No parents listed beyond tradition. And somewhere between lunar notch and papal bull, between business proposal and lived disconnection, there is a question no one has properly asked. What story does a civilization tell itself when it needs to control the rhythm of human life? What mythology does it build when natural cycles prove too regular, too observable, too uncomfortable for centralized power? And when that deleted 13th month leaves traces in ancient bones, the first industrial experiment, and the names we still use, what exactly are we looking at? A series of practical improvements across centuries, or the longest-running adjustment of time itself in recorded history?